If you subscribe to this channel, chances are you like yourself some Japanese games, or at the very least, you tolerate me talking about them. If it's the former, you're very likely to have played Nekopara, a visual novel by Sayuri, who is known for her excellent art style. One thing Nekopara is not known for is its excellent gameplay. Why? Because there is no gameplay. It's a visual novel, which is fine, but with Nekopara you're just following along. There aren't even any dialogue choices for you to choose from. What you see is what you get. If you're looking for something in that genre but with a bit more of an interactive element, I recommend looking at this game, Tropical Liquor. It's also a visual novel illustrated by Sayuri, but there's a bit of gameplay in the form of dating sim elements and a puzzle game. There's multiple routes too, with each girl on the title screen being an option. The game is available on Steam among other places. There's 2 versions of the game. The most modest version still has a bit of lewd stuff going on with nipular sightings being possible. The full H version is of course the real deal, as it shows a more detailed behind-the-scenes look at the storyline. Unlike Nekopara, there are no animations, by the way, just in case you are wondering. The story goes like this. You're a part-timer, job unspecified. Through some sort of lottery thing, you win a trip to a tropical island, location also unspecified. This is quite the long vacation at 30 days, and our protagonist here wants to use that opportunity to reinvent himself and find himself a girlfriend. I don't know about you, but being a part-timer and being off of work for like 30 days seems a bit much. Must have huge savings or something, but we'll get to this game's money-making mechanics later on. The first part of the game serves as a tutorial. Conveniently, the MC has a childhood friend, Naomi, who helps you learn the game's basic mechanics. The game sets you up so that she will probably be the first route completed by many people, as her affection for you is higher than any other girls when you start. I think the variation in characters is great. That's true for personalities as well as appearances. So whatever your thing or things you're into, there's something for everybody. It's hard mistaking one character for another. That being said, it's funny how you can see similarities between some of the characters in Nekopara and in this game. Like Kay looks a bit like Coconut and Lisa like Maple. But that's more of a superficial thing. The game does make an effort to give the characters a personality that goes beyond just appearance. As you play, you'll learn things about the girls which will make you go, oh, I didn't expect that, which I think is a good thing. As you play, you'll learn more about them, like what their goals are, what their insecurities are, or maybe what their hobbies are, all that kind of stuff. I think Tropical Liquor overall is quite good at making sure that the characters' personalities are fleshed out and 3-dimensional. The gameplay mechanics are quite straightforward. You have 30 days to raise a girl's affection to a point where she'll accept your confession. Like I said, Naomi gets you up to speed on what to do, but basically it's like this. At the very start, after the tutorial, which is skippable in later playthroughs by the way, you can select which of the 8 girls to go out with for the day. If you're familiar with Nekopara or perhaps other works from Sayuri, I already know what you're thinking. Who is the pisser? Well, you're just gonna have to play and find out yourself. Each day is divided into 2 different segments, morning and evening. In the morning, when it comes to interacting with girls, you'll only be able to talk. You can choose to discuss various topics, and the point here is just to get to know the girls a bit better. They'll reveal information that should be helpful for you. The profile will also continue getting filled out the more you find out. After that, it'll be evening. That's when you can invite someone out for drinks, which is where the memory minigame happens. But you'll have to raise affection first or else it won't be an option. You'll have to do that by purchasing items based on the conversations you had. It's not too difficult to find out what they'd like to receive as a gift. You may find yourself short on cash though. If that's the case, you simply have to work. You can do full or a half a day's worth of work. Obviously in the evening, you can only do a half. There is plenty of days to finish a route, so I wouldn't worry too much about using up several days in order to raise some capital. Money does carry over from playthrough to playthrough, so you actually might want to amass some more wealth for some of the more expensive purchases you need to make in the future. After working, you'll notice this percentage meter going down. That's your energy level. If it's too low and you go to work, the protagonist will do bugger all and waste that segment of time, so yeah, make sure your character gets enough sleep. Once you have the proper item, it's time to gift it in the evening in order to unlock the liquor game. That's when things switch to the minigame. It's a memory-based sort of thing. You get some time to memorize where the pieces are, and then once the timer starts, you'll have to basically click on the matching ones. The little gimmick here is that there's supposed to be ice cubes, so once a pair gets eliminated, the ones underneath float to the top. So you'll have to keep track of that since it's easy to mix things up. You'll also notice that each girl has like a different shaped glass and stuff, so an interesting little detail. The more matches you do, the more of the girl's swimsuit gets purged, by the way, which is a bit of a perk. Wrong matches also decrease your strength/energy. You lose if it gets to 0, so yeah. If you win the liquor game, the girl in return will share some personal information with you, which you need in order to advance. The liquor games become more and more challenging in 2 ways, as far as I can tell. Firstly, you get less time to memorize the locations of the pieces, and wrong matches do more damage. You end up doing all these things, and then eventually the affection meter should be maxed out, at which point you can confess. Stuff happens, and you get an epilogue. Something to take note of is that you have plenty of time to do everything. So like I said before, make sure to work and earn money for later playthroughs. Another thing is that you don't have to worry about losing liquor games every now and then. As far as I can tell, there's no penalty, and there's plenty of days in a month to get it right. You can also buy items that replenish energy or are supposed to help you out somehow during the liquor game, but honestly, I don't think they're worth it. I didn't need to use them once, and there was that one time I didn't even, I don't know, that item didn't even do anything, so I don't know, maybe I misunderstood its purpose. But the point is, if I can manage without them, I'm sure you can as well. In terms of graphics, everything is very much in line with the traditional VN aesthetic. While Sayori's illustrations are very good, the menu and background images are a bit more standard and in line with the genre. For some reason, Japanese VNs are always so behind with weird little details. I mean, hallelujah, it's actually not 4x3, but rather 16:9. But what about that resolution? It's super low. Why is this still a thing? I don't really get it. I don't know why they can't just get the resolution stuff correct with these visual novels. 1920 by 1080 and widescreen aspect ratios aren't a mystery these days. But enough of that. Let's talk a little bit more about the aesthetics rather than the technical problems with the graphics. There's a good amount of variation with locations. There are times when the scene doesn't match what's written. Basically, that's because if a location change happens within a scene, the illustration is usually that of the second scene. So for example, there's one case, I think, if I remember correctly, that talked about a beach, but the background showed a hotel room interior. A bit minor perhaps, but I don't know, I always noticed it when that happened. Let's talk about sound. Not really much to say. The voice acting is in Japanese, with no other options. Probably the preferred way for most people here. Only the girls are voice acted, with the protagonist being whatever your imagination says he should sound like. The music is unfortunately very standard. It is the definition of a stereotypical visual novel soundtrack, but in a way it has its charm because of that, I suppose. But there's nothing detrimentally wrong with the soundtrack, I guess, so yeah, that's Tropical Liquor. Since this is the end of the video here, I figured I'd mention something I found interesting about one of the routes. I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't say which girl it is, but there's one girl who is gravely ill with an unspecified, an illness, and it's revealed that she went on this vacation as a last sort of nice experience before stopping treatment and then ultimately choosing to pass away. But she reconsiders when she starts dating the protag. So, does that mean that choosing any other girl means that she ends up dying at the end? After completing that route, I always had to think about it when completing the other playthroughs. So yeah, I'm sure everybody who's played this route ends up thinking the same thing. Perhaps somewhat of a downer to end the video at, but anyways. I think overall Tropical Liquor is a relatively easy but fun visual novel that's great for people who are new to the genre. The minigame adds a bit of interest, and it's not the usual Honey Pop clone you see on Steam all the time. It's not a frustrating experience, mainly because it is pretty easy, and getting bad ends isn't really a thing, so you don't really have to worry about that happening. I hope you found that interesting. Consider checking out the Patreon page if you want to support the channel. You can see videos before they come out, and I also do update posts so you can see what I'm working on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.